Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is going to be a very beginner Blender tutorial. So when you open Blender, this is what you start out with. You start out with a clique cube, a light, and a camera. You can go to camera view by just tapping this. Also, this is up here is the controller. You can kind of control what you're seeing, or you can use your mouse wheel. Any of those things work to kind of move around your 3D scene. So hop to camera view, you can see your cube just right there. To save your work, you can go up here to File, and then down here, Save. You can click this button here. I'm not going to do it since I've already saved this, but it's just save as, and then you put down your name and where you want to save it. This is the render. If you click on it, you have either render image or render animation. Render image is probably what you're going to use the most as a beginner, which just renders out a image. So the first thing you see when you open it is just a cube. And this cube is the default cube, and you're probably going to want to just delete it. So you might be thinking, like, my delete button is not working or something, because I cannot delete this. My delete button is completely useless. The way that you delete things is you can left click and then down here delete, or you can just press X and it just, if you accidentally press it, it has this thing that pops up. It's like, are you okay with me deleting this? So you can either press delete or hover your mouse in a different direction. So I'm just going to delete this start cube. And then you're probably going to want to add a object into here. Since you deleted that, you can add an object by going up here to add or Shift A. So once you go up here to add, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can add, but to start, we're going to add a mesh. When you open mesh, it's not going to have from here down. This stuff is extras. I'll explain that later. But when you go to mesh and you don't have any preferences enabled, it should just stop here at the monkey. But basically you have a whole bunch of meshes or objects that you can add, like this plane or this cube. Get out of here, cube, we just deleted you. Or this circle. Just a whole bunch of objects. A sphere. A different kind of sphere. All that is in the mesh category. Cylinder. Yeah. Oh, and also the monkey. This is the monkey. This monkey is a monkey. This is just Blender's mascot, so that's why it's here. It pretty much is just a monkey. It's just a monkey. So I'm going to start out by adding in a sphere. So for this tutorial, I'm not going to be making anything. I'm just going to kind of explain to you the different things and tools that you can do. So you might want to scale this down or move it around somewhere, because this is our camera view, right? And you might be thinking, like, or for my render, I want this sphere to be right here, right over here. So in order to make my sphere move, I need to select it just by clicking on it, and then how you know that your thing is selected is when this orange outline is outlining your mesh. You can move by coming up here to the move tool and this kind of movement bar, comes up. Excuse me. So if you go up here to your camera, you can move it just by dragging on those arrows. You just press it, hold it down, and drag it. You can move your mesh around, or you can press G, and that just free for all movement. So I want it moved over here. Perfect. The next thing I'm gonna do is rotation. So maybe I don't want this cube facing me and I want to rotate it. So I want to rotate it this way. So the way I would do that is I'd go up here to the rotate tool and I'd just rotate it. And you can rotate it in any direction, or as a shortcut, say you're on like this regular like cursor, you can just press R and that just makes you spin it around depending on your view, or you can press RR and you kind of have free for all. Haha. The next one is scale. Scale changes the size of your model. You can change your size that way or that way, pretty much any way. Or you can select that you can select that ring in the middle and just hold it down and it scales everything. Another way that you can scale is S for scale, and once you press it you can just drag it and then you click to end your scale. You can also do the same thing and go SY to scale it at a certain axis, or you can go SX and scale it on the X. So pretty cool. So the next thing you're going to want to know is, I'm just going to move this back. Okay. You can undo, by the way, by pressing Command Z, and that just undoes it. Or you can go up here to Edit, Undo, and then once you undo, you can also do Redo. So now you have your circle. Say I want to customize this shape. There's a couple different ways of doing this. One is you can go up here to the object mode. Right now we're at objects mode, but you can go to edit mode, and now you can edit by just selecting some of these vertices and move them. Like so. You can select them in lines, you can select them in faces, and you can select them in vertexes, I think is what these are called. So yeah, there's a bunch of different things. You can even rotate them. Obviously I wouldn't do anything with the vertex select, but if I had a face select and I rotated it, make a weird shape, and I can scale them. Ta-da! Make it really big. So you can customize your shape there. There's also a whole bunch of different tools here that I will explain in another tutorial if you want to learn how to edit and customize and model your sphere. But there is one tool that I'm going to show you. If you go up here and turn on this, which is, I forgot what it's called, proportional editing. Yes, proportional editing. By the way, if you hover your mouse over anything in Blender, it will pretty much just tell you what it is. So right now, here, if I turn it off, when you're moving your vertices, you can see that you only move one at a time. So this is tricky if you're modeling like if you want your object to be like imperfect, because you'd have to move each one individually like this, right? And that would be just time consuming. But if you want it just random, you can go up here to proportional editing, and you can go up here and choose. So once you turn on proportional editing, sorry, jumped ahead a little bit. Once you open proportional editing, you can move one vertice, and it moves the vertices around it. You can adjust how many vertices you're moving with your scroll bar using the scroll on my mouse. Scroll tool on my mouse. You can just scroll it up and down and select more and more vertices. Yahoo! Okay, you can also press tab to go into edit mode, by the way. I'm just pressing tab and going in and out of edit mode. If you want to do pretty much the same thing, just a little bit different, you have more freedom with your movement, you can go to Sculpt mode. And what Sculpt mode does is it has a whole bunch of different tools, and you can pretty much just take a bit of your mesh and do the same thing. And you can adjust the size and the strength. So that is pretty much what Sculpt mode is. This is probably my favorite tool. It is the snake hook tool, and basically allows you to just pull a piece off your mesh. Yahoo! Which is great. You can press S, not S, to control the size of your mouse. And then there's also a couple other little things in here that I can just quickly go over. This is the inflate tool, which basically makes you inflate part of your mesh. Ta-da! And then down here is the cloth tool. This can slow down your computer a little bit, so be careful of that. Press F, and then kind of makes it, it's hard to tell with this, but it kind of makes it fabric-y. I don't know if you can kind of see that. But that's pretty much what it does. It's easier to see on a planer or something. Here, I can just pull that up really quickly and increase the vertices. Sorry, I'm just making this able to pretty much work in Sculpt mode. So in Sculpt mode now, on the cloth, you can now see what it does. Ta-da! So that's what the cloth tool does. Pretty much just makes it into cloth or fabric. So yeah, that's pretty much what it does. Let's get back to the sphere. Okay, so you might be wondering, like, I have the sphere, but it is not affecting my lighting the way I want it to. I have these weird box vertices all over my mesh, and I want it to be smooth and, like, look smooth. So the way you can do that is you can click on this and left click, just like how we did for the delete, but instead of pressing delete, you go up here to shade smooth. And that will just shade smooth your model. And this is not actually increased in vertices at all, it's just changing the lighting to look like this. So if you can see, the edges around it are, if I shade flat again, the sharp edges of the box vertices. And that's why it looks like that. There is a way that you can fix that in the modifier section. You can add a modifier called the subdivision surface modifier, and this, if I go to wireframe mode, increases the amount of vertices. So I'll just get rid of that. Oh, also wireframe mode brings me to a wonderful point. If you're wondering how this will work, so basically what you're seeing is this mode right now is called solid mode. This, if you add in a color, will not show the color. It will just show gray. So there's a few different modes. There's 4. Solid, which is the one you probably start with. Wireframe, material, I'm forgetting what that's called. Viewport shading, or material preview. And then there's rendering mode. Basically, this is gonna be what it looks like if I render this image right now. This is what the image is gonna look like. And that is because my light up here is affecting my model. So if I were to move my light closer by going up here to the move tool, it affects my circle. And if I do it in solid mode, it does nothing. Material preview, this mode will show your color, but it won't show your lighting. And the reason is because this is like a preview of what your material might look like. So if I have this lighting here, it doesn't do anything. It only does something for the rendered view. So if I were to make this just rendered right now, it would look like that. And I can show you. If I render this image right now, render image, it renders it. And it's done rendering. And the reason why it rendered so fast is because we don't have that much lighting, and we're also rendering in Eevee. Now Eevee is what renders like video games and stuff like that, where it's not like perfect. The lighting isn't being like in a metal surface, it's not reflecting on the metal or anything like that. So if we go over here to this like camera and we change it to cycles, it now kind of glitches a little bit and has pixels, but it's a way better render compared to, this is like what Pixar uses pretty much. And there's a tip for if you want less noise, is if you go down here to denoise, it will still kind of have some of that noise, but it's way less than it looks without it. And I can kind of show you that if I just add in a quick texture. So I just kind of made it a red metallic texture, and if I change the color of my lighting here, which if you go down to lighting properties, you can change to your color to like, I don't know, blue, purple, something like that. you can see that it's taking a little bit of time to sort of affect our sphere here. So if you go to denoise, it's going to have less noise and kind of blend it together. Ta-da! So if I were to render this now, move the light a little bit closer. You can also duplicate or copy and paste any of the objects. So if I wanted 2 spheres, I could go Command C, Command V, Command V. Now I have 2 spheres. Ta-da! Also up here in the top right, you can see that you can select any of your items from up here. It looks like I actually have 3 spheres. I do not want that, so I'm just going to delete one. Ta-da! So, yours probably doesn't look like mine right now. I'm going to go back to where we were. I just need Command Z. Okay. So this is where we are. In my next video, I will explain textures and whatnot. For now, you can render your image. Render image. And once this is done rendering, it'll say that it's done, and you can image and save your image when it's done rendering. So that's pretty much it for the beginner tutorial on Blender. If you want to see the next video where we deep dive a little bit more into textures and modeling, stay tuned and make sure to see my texturing video. I hope it will be posted next Wednesday. I'm trying to post every Wednesday. I don't know. I'll try.